Welcome back to the WCS America Premier League Round of 32 Group C. I'm axslav here with a special guest, Mr. Rotterdam, casting live from New York City.
Yes. What better to do on your birthday than cast some STARCRAFT?
That's right. That's right. And especially after that last game. That last game was a real pleasure to watch.
It was.
We got to see the amazing early and mid-game macro multitasking of Idra and Polt were like neck and neck. Idra maybe even ahead, I would say, for a lot of that game.
I definitely agree. Yeah. You know how it kind of feels? It's like watching a really good movie, but you know it's going to be a trilogy, so it has an open ending. So right now, guys, you get like the second part of this movie you just watched in the cinema immediately, which I think is pretty awesome.
It is. It is. We can start game 2 as soon as we can get pulled in the game. Just waiting on him for just a second. But on that last game, man, I can't think of what mindset Idra's in right now after a game like that.
Oh, well, if you read the chat lobby, I think you have a very good idea. I think I know which mindset he is in. But we'll see. I still think he played fantastic the first 20 minutes, first 25 minutes, I would even say. So I hope at least we're going to see him try his best and hopefully play his heart out. But I still believe that he could potentially make it out of this group. If he plays like this against the other guys, and if his ZVZ is as good as it once upon a time was, then he has a very realistic shot.
He really does. I mean, just a couple small things. Polt was just doing a little bit better in that late game. And we'll see if he can either close it out before it gets to that point, or potentially even just maybe control his green doors and festers, not get frustrated to quite as much as he did that last game.
Yeah, and of course this is a different map as well. This is not Daybreak. It should be a little bit easier for Idra to find the engagement that he's hopefully looking for. Polt, on the other hand, as we mentioned before already, well, I have to do this, I believe. I hope I did everything correct like right now.
You're good. You're good.
Boom. First timer.
So introducing the players. Over at the bottom right, the guy who had such an amazing opening, but then inexplicably left in the late game. Team Evil Geniuses Idra.
You want me to do some crazy camera work? See if I can be an Adabisi?
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Over here, the top left, his opponent, Polt.
What do you think?
That was pretty awesome.
What do you think?
That was pretty awesome.
All right. I know my next career. Polt has some really cool builds in excellent ways. One of the builds I saw him use a couple of times is that he actually opens up with 2 Rexes before a command center here. Not super early, not like an 11-11. He just opens up with a Reaper, but then he actually gets his second Rex in his main, and he goes up to 4 to maybe even 6 Reapers, and perhaps tries to get a bunker either over here on the high ground or on the low ground, and he's going to put some serious pressure on his opponent, which could be really hard to deal with if you underreact. Of course, one of the downsides of an opening like that is that you force out an insane amount of links, which could eventually end up to getting countered by pretty big link bailing attacks. So we will see if Polt is going to do something like that, but I think it's safe to say that at least it's going to be 2 Reapers on this map. But it would be fun to see him drop some additional Rexes and see him go for some serious early game aggression.
That would be a really, really great play as well, if you consider the fact that the last game was like a super long, really passive early into crazy macro game.
Yep.
And so if you change the pace on your opponent so fast, they're still thinking about what they should have done at the 40-minute mark to win the game. Then all of a sudden at the 5-minute mark, there's a whole bunch of Reapers shooting them. It could really mess with their kind of psychology and their plans for how the game is going to play out.
Certainly against someone like Idra, I mean, hey, if the bunker goes up, I fear the worst.
If he leaves with 200 food and a significant amount of money in the bank, who knows what'll happen when he gets a bunker up on him. But I like kind of the way he's drone scouting. It shows that he actually is very comfortable playing reactive openings. We saw when he saw the command center first, he says, okay, I want to go 3 hatchery before pool, and I'm comfortable with that opening. And now he saw the barracks gas, so he's anticipating Reaper. He says, okay, probably shouldn't just stick with only drones against the Reaper opening. So he's going to go ahead and get the gas and then the spawning pool, so he's going to have Zergling speed out pretty quickly.
Polt is not going to do anything like I mentioned before. He's probably just going to follow this up with a factory later on, and of course the command centers. But we will see 2 Reapers early on, but he doesn't even have an SCV out on the map, so he's not going to try to drop a bunker, something I have seen him do quite often, not just on his stream, but also in a couple of the tournament games I watched. But he's going to switch it up, just play it safe, and probably just wants to make sure that this goes into a phase of the game where he could potentially produce a Raven.
First Raven could be the game ender. Idra taking his drones off cast as he gets 100. This is where the test is how good is his micro.
Oh, Polt!
Oh! That Reaper almost got surrounded.
Yeah, that would have been so massive. That would have felt so good. Even Idra should have been very happy with that then. We might have seen him small.
He would have he would have stopped swearing at himself for about 5 seconds, most likely, right there. Of course, if the first Reaper dies, it makes the second Reaper so much weaker, because when you have 2 Reapers, your harass is something like 4 times stronger. You have twice the amount of life you can take hits on, and also you have twice the amount of damage. So it's so much exponentially better to have the 2 Reapers harassing together than just have them one at a time.
Very economic follow-up once more by Polt, as we see in the production tab. 2 command centers on the way already. Idra did lose 1 drone, tried to morph it into an extractor, but just wasn't able to get there in time. As you pointed out, if that would have only been 1 Reaper, that would have never happened. But yeah, Polt did keep that Reaper alive, but overall, nothing too bad yet. Picking off a drone is obviously very nice, but it's also not the end of the world for Idra.
It really isn't. It really isn't. Against the Reaper opening, it's definitely okay to take some damage. And we can see Polt here, he knew exactly when Idra would get speed because of that great scouting job he did. And so he knows, okay, it's time to pull the Reapers back. We did some damage, but you really don't want to lose those Reapers.
Couldn't agree more, X. I couldn't agree more. First Hellions on the way right now. Most likely we're going to see at least 6 Hellions. Once more we see Polt producing 1 Marauder, but that's kind of like the safety Marauder that he often makes. Every now and then he switches it up and brings a couple of Marauders mid-game, which I think is a really fun playstyle to watch. But he just likes to get that 1 Marauder early on, so he has something to really fall back on in case he suddenly has to deal with Roachling/Roachling Baneling.
Idra here with the speedings, and the fact that he's going to Roachworm behind us means that the map control he could potentially get with the speedings is extremely important, because if the Hellions spot the Roach Baneling all-in coming, when it's still on Idra's side of the map, Polt will have plenty of time to prepare for it.
And I actually think that is exactly what we're going to see as we see a Roachworm and a Baneling that's in production. It's a very popular strat as well in Ekelon Waste. We saw Soppy use it a couple of times in WCS and just overall you see a lot of Zergs busting this strategy out. I believe Killer did it as well against Alive. Now we see 5 Roaches in production, 6 Roaches, but I'm afraid that Polt is going to be so safe. He has 8 Hellions on the map real soon. He's going to have 1 Marauder at home already. He has a bunker. He's going to see everything in time. I have a hard time imagining him killing, or a hard time imagining Idra dealing enough damage here against Polt that it's going to be worth it. / game ending.
It's going to be a very uphill battle for Idra. You know, one thing Soppy did that I think made the build so much stronger is he actually built a 3rd hatchery. Even though, of course, he didn't really join up that 3rd base at all, the 3rd hatchery, when a Terran sees it, they're much less likely to suspect this attack is coming. He's also always able to get the map control with the speedings, but now Polt sees the Roaches coming out. He knows exactly what he's dealing with. We can see here more bunkers being built. He's got a wall in front of the natural. He's going to have a wall he can fall back on in his main base. He's producing Marauders. He's in a great position to defend his attack.
He's in an excellent position. First, Widow Mines are in production already as well. Of course, a Widow Mine could basically mean a guaranteed Roach kill, or at least a couple of Lings/Banelings. 10 Banelings at once, but there are so many bunkers to fall back on. There are Widow Mines. All these Hellions are still alive. This is looking pretty dark right now for the Evil Genius Zerg.
I think this is a sign he was frustrated at how that first game went, even with his great opening.
Oh, the Banelings. Banelings might actually die already before they even connect to the wall. Well played here by Polt. Wow, killing off most of these Banelings. Yes, he does lose a lot of Hellions, but now it also means that Idra doesn't have enough Banelings to blow up most of these. Well, no.
This is probably the least successful Roach Baneling attack Man.
Yeah.
That was... I think he morphed something like 16 Banelings, and he couldn't even get past the depots.
No.
Because of that. That was amazing micro on the Hellions, working around the Roaches and making sure, and he was always focusing the middle of the pack, so we get all that AoE damage as well.
Something you often Terrans see do is like bring back the Hellions immediately, like behind the wall. But Polt is like, no, I'm going to keep him out on the map, see if I can do something with it, see if I can catch off some reinforcement Zerglings, or just pick off those Banelings, which is exactly what he did. He did end up losing those Hellions, but that's absolutely no problem when you delay everything else so much. And he said the wall didn't even go down. We can take another look at that, because I thought that was very well played.
It was absolutely amazing. I mean, the whole idea here is Idra is super all-in. He has to get minimum like 15 SCV kills, and he can't get those if he can't get through the wall. So sacrificing the Hellions for the Banelings is a perfectly amazing, actually, micro decision.
I think it's exactly what you said, a clear sign of frustration. Idra did play a fantastic game 1, however, at least for the first 20-25 minutes. So I do not think this is the end of the world. And in ZVZ, hey, it's the same race. Might be a much better mindset. We might see a completely different Idra. And he's, of course, going to play against the loser of the next series we will broadcast, which will be between Ghostly User and Revive. And I think that's going to be sick.
I think it is going to be sick. We'll see how those two guys match up after a short break.